You prepare for the role because obviously it's a very challenging role from a physical standpoint, both physical and psychological standpoint.
I didn't get that. I'm glad you translated that. Get that. Well, yeah, I think the first thing for us was the weight loss. I think that's really what I started with. And as it turns out, that then affects your psychology. And so, you really, I mean, you start to go mad when you lose that much weight in that amount of time. So I think I started there. I started with the script, talking with Todd. There's a book that was about, that I read about political assassins and would-be assassins that I thought was really interesting and kind of breaks down the different types of personalities that do those sorts of things. But again, as soon as I started to identify, because I did identify Arthur as a particular personality, particular type, but then I also wanted the freedom to create something that wasn't identifiable. I mean, this is a fictional character, and I didn't want a psychiatrist to be able to identify the kind of person that he was. And we would get into some of the medications or talking about what issues he may have, and we would always feel like, let's step away from that, and we want to have the room to kind of really create what we want. And so there was kind of this balance, but I think I started there, and we were just talking on the boat over one of the, very early on in the rehearsal, I was given the journal that he has, which is a journal and joke diary, and that was really helpful because I'd been there for a couple weeks, and I wasn't sure how I was going to start, and Todd sent over this journal, and initially, remember I went to
an empty journal, like here, write in it.
Yeah, and I went to and I don't know what to do. I didn't know what to write. And so I asked you for like some suggestions, and you sent over something that started me off. And then after a few days, I ignored your suggestions, and then suddenly I was just, it was coming out. And I hadn't anticipated that, I didn't plan on it, and it just became like a really important part of the discovery of the character for me at that time.
It's a role that many actors put their own interpretation on, and it seems to also change with the time and the decade in which it is done. I just wanted to know how much past interpretations influenced you, and how much you found yourself influenced by the time in which we are all unfortunately living.
For me, the attraction to make this film and this character was that we were going to approach it in our own way. So for me, I didn't refer to any past iterations of the character. It was just something that felt like it was our creation in some ways, and I think that's what was really important for me and key to it.
What was the hard part? Just tell me. What was the other part of it? Oh, I mean, I just think, like movies I think movies are oftentimes mirrors of society, but they're never molders, right? So even though the movie takes place in late 70s, early 80s, we wrote it in 2017, so inevitably certain themes find their way into the movie that may exist now, and not everybody sees that. Some people just see it as a new take on a Joker origin story. So you hate to define it for people, what it is, and it's certainly not a political film. It just depends. I mean, for some people, it just really depends, I think, on the lens at which you view it through.